Well, the third wave of the coronavirus disease is arguably the most dangerous. Kericho Deputy Governor Susan Kikwai being the latest political figure to succumb to the virus this week in what seems like a class war. Good evening, glad you could join us here on TV47 Weekend. Later on in the broadcast, we'll speak with the Kenya National Union of Clinical Officers Chairperson Peterson Washira to talk matters the third wave of COVID-19 as Kenya announces to begin the vaccination of diplomats in the country. My name is Musa Salah. Anwairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 Weekend begins right now. With only a few hours remaining before the class of 2020 finally sits for their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination, there are concerns over insecurity in some parts of Baringo County, which disrupted education in some schools as candidates and their families fled. Leaders from the area want the government to assure the candidates of their safety during the examination period.
Broken windows, glass scattered all over the place stand as evidence of the vandalism that took place at Chepkesin Primary School in Baringo County following a banditry attack. The situation forced a number of families to flee the area. Part of them were candidates scheduled to sit national exams starting tomorrow, but some cannot be traced. The school lies abandoned since the attack last month. No learning has been taking place.
Chepkesin sasa wanafunzi wa Chepkesin hawana pale pa kufanya mitihani. Hata wa sasa hatujui hao watoto watafanya wapi mitihani. Hawezi rudi Chepkesin kwa sababu wakora wamejaa huko. Watoto wa Kapturo, wakora wamehamia wako karibu na shule. So ni wasiwasi mwingi ambapo hata na watoto hata ukisema kwamba Chepkesin sasa wanafunzi warudi wafanye mitihani, kutakuwa na wasiwasi mwingi. Hatujui kama kutakuwa na usalama ya kutosha ama watahamia ama watafahamia wakati watoto wetu wanapofanya mitihani. Hivyo nataka niseme ya kwamba kwa waziri wa usalama pamoja na waziri wa elimu, ni nini mkakati wameweka kuona kwamba shule ya Chepkesin, watoto wa Chepkesin Primary wameweza kufanya mitihani kama watoto wengine.
Bartabwa, member of County Assembly Ruben Chepsongol, says more than 3 schools have been affected by insecurity. Some of the schools that closed indefinitely are Chepkesin, Kapturo and Tuluk.
Tangia wakati askari walipotolewa katika Chepkesin mwezi 2 zilizopita, hawa watoto hata nao withdraw kwa sababu hali ya usalama. Wakati wakora walipofahamia area ya Chepkesin, area ya Kapturo, Kiboluk, mpaka Tuluk, hapo ndio wakati askari waliona kwamba wakati askari ule alipouliwa, mwenye aliuliwa Tuluk, area ya Chimoe, sasa hawa wakora wakatuma ripoti kwamba tutafahamia wala askari wako Chimoe, Chepkesin, ndio tupate nafasi ya kufanya mambo yetu ya wizi.
Locals are calling upon the government to beef up security as exams are about to begin in a few hours. And with the third wave of COVID-19 proving to be more lethal, the Kenya Women Teachers Association KEWOTA wants the government to provide invigilators with a separate means of transport instead of sharing with police officers. Government to double the number of vehicles that ferry invigilators to ensure social distance is maintained. Emergency medical services to be put on standby in examination centers. All invigilators to be provided with a special medical insurance package during the examination period. Exams to be treated as special emergency assignment and must be remunerated better than normal rates. School heads, teachers, especially those in private schools, and invigilators be vaccinated as a priority. Tomorrow, 1,191,725 registered KCPE candidates will start writing their exams. They will conclude the last paper on 24th March 2021. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Well, TV47 wishes all KCPE candidates all the best in their examinations tomorrow. Now, Archbishop Anthony Muheria of the Catholic Diocese of Nyeri has ruled out the way of the cross this year as the Lent period draws to an end. This has been occasioned by the surge in numbers of COVID-19 infections, as Mudhoni Maina explains.
As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Well, the Roman Catholic Church in Kenya is doing just that, keeping in mind the surge in COVID-19 infections lately. The Interfaith Council Chair, Archbishop Anthony Muheria, who is also Archbishop of the Catholic Diocese of Nyeri, has cancelled the Way of the Cross Easter processions. Muheria has been part of the COVID-19 response task force that has been guiding places of worship on how to design protocols to ward off the virus.
Amongst them, we are not going to have Palm Sunday any processions. We'll have a Palm Sunday procession. We'll have any public ways of the cross. The ceremonies will be very short. There will be very little movement within our places of worship, and we will try as far as possible to contain the numbers we have in our places of worship.
Muheria urged religious leaders to rearrange their mass schedule to avoid overcrowding, proposing that the mass should be held for less than an hour. In addition, Muheria stated that no food should be served in funerals and no one should remove their masks during photo sessions or when addressing people using microphones.
Funerals, there should be no food served. In our gatherings, no food should be served. We should make it, for the time being, because of COVID, because we remove our masks. And in removing our masks, we are putting ourselves in danger of being infected. We are saying the same even when we see the people taking photographs. Don't remove your mask when taking photographs. Take photographs with your masks. When you are speaking to the microphone, don't remove your mask. Keep your mask well.
Back in November 2020, the Archbishop had been admitted to the Mater Hospital as he had tested positive for COVID-19. His health later on improved, and since then he has been urging Kenyans to not lower their guards against the virus and instead observe the regulations given by the Ministry of Health so as to curb the new variant and flatten the curve of the third wave.
We will be sorry. That's why today we are appealing as church leaders and appealing to the church leaders to remind our people, before any service, before any mass, before any funeral, make sure that everyone attending is wearing a mask. Ask them, kindly insist on them.
Lent period leading to the Palm Sunday and the Way of the Cross on Easter is usually one of the most regarded period among Catholic faithfuls. But as the world waits for a better solution to the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, some of the celebrations will also have to wait. Indeed, dead people cannot go on the Way of the Cross. Muthoni Maina, TV47.
Well, thank you so much, Muthoni Maina, for that report. Last week, the country recorded its highest number of deaths in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, 28 deaths in a single day. This number and the recent death of Kericho Deputy Governor Susan Kikwai now raising panic across the political class and the country in general, with Makueni Governor calling on the Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe to involve governors in all health drives related to COVID-19 as they join forces and encourage Kenyans to take the vaccine.
In the past 7 days, the COVID-19 pandemic has continued to rock the country, with the highest number of COVID-19 related deaths being recorded on Friday at 28. And now the third wave, arguably the most dangerous wave of the killer virus, sending shivers down the spines of many, cutting across the political class, especially after the death of Kericho Deputy Governor Susan Kikwai, who succumbed to COVID-19 complications on Friday. The curve of the third wave, although similar to the first and second waves, is more steep and with a higher death toll, probably because there are more patients this time round and health facilities have been stretched thin. And now, Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana has asked the government to encourage more Kenyans to get the free COVID-19 vaccine, which is receiving apathy even among healthcare workers.
Hiyo chanjo ya COVID-19 ya corona inatusaidia, na kila mtu akipata nafasi ya hiyo chanjo aende kwa haraka ipate.
The positivity rate, especially among the political class, is slowly increasing, with the latest report being Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi, who tested positive for the virus last week. Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana now urging the Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe to involve governors in all health drives related to COVID-19 so that the exercise gains momentum.
Ninauliza Bwana Mheshimiwa Kagwe, waziri wa afya, kwamba magavana wahusishwe vilivyo, wawe mstari wa mbele vile vile katika kueleza watu tufanye hii chanjo, kuwa na drives ya hii chanjo ndio tuifanye kwa njia ya haraka.
But even as the push for adherence to COVID-19 protocols and vaccine among Kenyans rises, healthcare workers in Kangundo Hospital, Machakos County, have protested over lack of protective equipment within their facility, with patients in most occasions forced to buy their own gloves before being treated in the hospital.
Nilikuja huku jana, nikaambiwa hakuna kuhudumiwa bila gloves na hakuna vitu za kwenda theater. Kwa hivyo ni lazima ninunue. Na nilinunua gloves 2,400.
So we've been having emergencies, we don't know how to deal with them. We've been having 6 patients confirmed, 6 COVID positive cases in OPD. No space in isolation, so we are supposed to deal with those patients in outpatient, the same time dealing with other patients still in outpatient. No gloves, no PPEs. So how is it supposed to work?
On Sunday, the Ministry of Health announced that 747 people had in the last 24 hours tested positive for the coronavirus out of a sample size of 5,145, raising the number of infections to 120,910. Sadly, 17 people had lost their lives, bringing the national COVID-19 death toll to 2,011. Ruth Mulandi, TV47.
Well, thank you so much, Ruth Mulandi, for that report. Still on matters COVID-19, I'm now joined live on Skype by the chairman of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Peterson Wachira, to shed more light on the fear's third wave of COVID-19. Peterson has immense experience in dealing with pandemics caused by viral diseases. He was among the team of Kenyan healthcare workers who volunteered to help fight the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Peterson, good evening and many thanks for making time for us this evening.
Good evening and
Well, Peterson, allow me to start us off with Dr. Matshidiso Moeti of the World Health Organization last week during the weekly COVID-19 press conferences said that there is an upward trend in most African countries, including Kenya, in terms of the number of infections. What is your reaction to the numbers coming from the third wave of COVID-19?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's evident that we are currently having a surge, and this surge can only be explained as a third wave of the virus. And I think it is exposing the status of our health system as of currently. And actually is a great that if not take civic duty, be able to use the protocols that have been provided, then even our facilities might actually be overrun, because we are seeing surging numbers. We are even seeing the numbers of deaths going high. We are even seeing a peculiar situation where even the young people that we previously say that probably they may not progress to die, now they are actually dying from the same.
Well, Peterson, Kenya has lost nearly 2,000 people to the COVID-19, and the health ministry last week on Friday reported about 28 deaths to the coronavirus disease. There are possibly signs of pandemic fatigue just before the second wave. Are we experiencing a similar experience right now with the third wave of COVID-19?
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons as to why that wave is usually a bit more lethal than the others is because when you get the first wave, you find that people will be so vigilant because of the panic, and they are going to do whatever the government and the ministry directs them to do. And so you will get that.
Well, we apologize for those technical hitches. We'll try getting back the chairman of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers just to dissect more on this COVID-19 third wave in the country. It's time to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at TV47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at TV47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. The home of Untold Stories.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Weekend. Now, residents of Ihundu in Naivasha until moments ago barricaded the Nakuru-Naivasha highway with bonfires and rocks. They were protesting against an alleged case of rape and murder in the area. Irate members of public had nabbed the suspect and were unleashing mob justice on him when the police arrived and saved him. The suspect is alleged to have raped and killed an elderly woman in the area. The incident, which caused a major traffic snarl-up, comes barely a week after a man accused of multiple rape and murder cases in Kabati and Karagita estates in Naivasha was arrested. The arrest also sparked riots by members of the public who wanted to lynch the suspect. Police officers have since brought the protest to an end and free flow of traffic on the busy Naivasha-Nakuru highway has resumed.
akakuja akaua shosho wetu pale. Alafu baada ya hapo askari wakaijua huyo mtu, na huyo mtu kuna evidence mpaka huyo mtu vile amekwarwa hivi, na ile nywele shosho alitoa kwa kichwa kwa hii wakati alikuwa na struggle, hiyo ndiyo nywele hiyo mtu anayo. Sasa kile kitu kimekasirisha watu ni kwamba askari kwa wakati huo wote hawakuweko. Sasa tulikuwa tunasema huyo mtu evidence, kwa sababu kukienda kule polisi itasemekana ya kwamba haanza kuleta evidence nani alirepuye, huyo mtu ataachiliwa. Sisi tulikuwa tunataka polisi waachilie huyo mtu, watu wafanyie yeye haki.
Well, a sad turn of events there in Naivasha. The humiliating defeat of Abanas Ngengele, UDA's candidate in Machakos senatorial by-election, seems to have deepened the disquiet in the newest political party even further, as UDA continues to establish grassroots and poise itself as the DP Ruto's political wheels to State House. Proponents of the party are seemingly becoming more skeptical day by day. A candidate who had expressed interest in running for the Juja parliamentary seat via UDA ticket decamped to Moses Kuria's PEP party after UDA announced it won't be fielding a candidate in the forthcoming by-elections, as Mwangi Maina now reports.
UDA, kazi ni kazi, masla.
Since it was launched on 8th of January this year, the United Democratic Alliance Party has been selling itself as a party of the common mwananchi, with over 50 members of parliament and senators inclined to DP Ruto attending the launch. The party is ostensibly Ruto's preferred vehicle for his race to State House next year. Ruto and his brigade has already hit the ground running with the Yellow and Green Party with the mantra kazi ni kazi. But as the days go by and UDA's continuous humiliations in by-elections, the disquiet and skepticism with the party can only grow deeper. The party, which has extensively borrowed from Tanzania's Chama cha Mapinduzi, is seemingly not bringing everybody together on board, as its chairman Johnston Muthama had promised during its launch.
We don't fear to be challenged, but we want to say that we are going to demonstrate that we have the capacity and we are in a position to unite Kenyans.
Since its inception, the party has fielded 6 candidates in the various by-elections conducted in the country. Out of the 6, UDA has won in the Msambweni parliamentary and the London Ward MCA in Nakuru County, albeit with narrow margins. In London Ward by-election, for instance, UDA candidate Anthony Nzoke won with 1,707 votes, 322 more votes than Jubilee's Francis Njoroge, who emerged second with 1,385 votes. But it is a Machakos senatorial by-election that might cause more disquiet in the party. UDA's candidate in the race was humiliatingly floored by Wiper's Agnes Kavindo, ex-wife to Johnston Muthama, the chairman of UDA. As the first senator of Machakos County and a man who wields influence in the Lower Eastern, Muthama had promised to deliver the seat only for it to end in premium tears. Abanas Ngengele came a distant second with a vote difference of 80,000. Machakos County is a political turf of Muthama, and the race was a proxy contest between Muthama and Wiper party leader Kalonzo Musyoka.
Wakisikia kiti imeitwa hata ya village manager wanasimamisha mtu. Wakisikia sijui ile ya wale cattle dip wanasimamisha mtu. Sasa hii mambo wameona huku Ukambani, ile vumbi wameonyeshwa. Sijui kama watasimamisha mtu tena hivi karibuni. Ningewaomba waende kwanza wajenge chama vizuri, wajipange, tukutane 2022. Lakini kuja kujaribu kuingia eneo la Ukambani bila kupitia mahali Kalonzo yuko, hiyo ni kupotea.
A week ago, George Koimburi, a Juja parliamentary aspirant, decamped from UDA to Moses Kuria-sponsored People's Empowerment Party after it was evident UDA wouldn't be fielding a candidate in Juja. It is not clear why they did not field a candidate and whether or not the party will be backing Moses Kuria and his candidate George Koimburi.
Tukikula tear gas. Na mnajua napenda kuongea, lakini saa hizi hata sauti imepotea kwa sababu ya tear gas.
Sunday afternoon, Kimilili MP and DP Ruto's full soldier Didmas Barasa announced that he will be taking a 4-month break from Tanga politics to reflect on his political journey. Didmas, a Jubilee Party MP, and DP Ruto confident may be juggling to decamp from UDA or hold himself to the party.
Everybody in this country knows that Didmas Wekesa Barasa subscribed to the ideals and ideologies of the Hustler Nation. I have not left the Hustler Nation, but I am taking a 4-month sabbatical leave. I say so because I want to play the role of an arbiter to be able to bring different warring political factions within Bungoma to be able to sit on the table, to amalgamate their vision that have always divided them for this region, so that we can agree on a common front.
Didmas Barasa and other UDA-affiliated Western Kenya MPs failed to deliver the Kabuchai parliamentary seat in Bungoma and Matungu parliamentary seat, which went to Ford Kenya and ANC respectively. Bungoma is home to Didmas Barasa, while late Justice Moronga was a Tanga adherent by the time of his demise. In Matungu, UDA's candidate Alex Lanya came a distant third with 4,000 votes against ANC's Oscar Nabulindo, who helped ANC retain the seat with 14,000 votes. In Kabuchai constituency, Majimbo Kalasinga won the seat with 19,000 votes, retaining the seat to the Ford Kenya party. UDA's Evans Kakai garnered 6,000 votes only. In Kiamokama ward in Kisii County, UDA's candidate Nyandusi Nyakiramba came a distant 6th with only 491 votes against ODM's Malachi Matara, who garnered 1,900 votes. Deputy President William Ruto and other key UDA figures have not broken their silence after the defeat in Machakos, with others consoling themselves that UDA can field any candidate in any part of the country and the impact felt. What's more, another UDA affiliate, Sirisia Member of Parliament John Waluhe, has backed off the Bungoma gubernatorial seat in 2022 general elections and instead vouched for ODM MP for Westlands Timothy Wanyonyi for the prestigious seat.
I step down in favor of Honorable Timo Wanyonyi, MP for Westlands. He's a development conscious person. I know him. He can develop our county, and I have consulted wisely with other leaders.
These latest maneuvers by MPs from Western Kenya, a region largely seen as a UDA stronghold, leaves the Mudhama-led party with a Herculean housekeeping task in days to come. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, thank you so much, Mwangi Maina, for that report on the cracks within the UDA party. It's time to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more. Remember, you can follow this live broadcast on www.tv47.co.ke.
Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15th, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets, and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Weekend. Now the third wave of the coronavirus disease is arguably the most dangerous. Kericho Deputy Governor Susan Kikwai being the latest political figure to succumb to the virus this week in what seems like a class war. Now we've been able to get hold of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairman Peterson Washira. Good evening again. Welcome back, Chairman. Just to start off from where we left, Kenya has lost nearly 2,000 people to the virus thus far, with the health ministry reporting about 28 deaths on Friday, the highest daily toll since the third wave of the virus. Now, there were signs of a pandemic fatigue just before the second wave. That can be a factor too in this third wave of the virus, don't you think?
Yeah, I do totally agree with you that if you look at our nature as Kenyans, we are very industrious people. But even so, we are also people who are very suspicious. And I think we have grown suspicious. The public has actually grown suspicious of anything that comes from the government of late for various reasons, and sometimes not very factual. So as I was saying, in the first wave, usually it will be a new disease. It will have a lot of panic. People are going to be very vigilant, and so they are going to follow each and every protocol that is given by the Ministry of Health and the government. And that is why in the first wave, only a few people will be infected. The deaths will be a bit lower, and the discipline will be there for the civic duties to ensure that people are adhering to protocols. Then after some time, they realize so after using the protocols, they see as if because people are not dying, not so many are getting severe disease, they think probably that the outbreak they are dealing with is not as bad as they were told. And so they will start lowering their guard, and there will be conversations like probably their government is going too far to do whatever it's trying to achieve. And I'm sure you heard that on the streets, that probably the government was going too far, a bit too far than they should. But they say that usually when you are dealing with the public, with an outbreak as the government is always accused of going too far. But when later you look at it from retrospect, then the government is actually accused of doing probably a lesser than expected job. So when it comes to now, the second you saw that there was a surge, and then people realized you mean this thing can actually kill. And people went back to being vigilant and following protocols. But the moment then that was mitigated, because of the time it takes, the toll it takes on the livelihoods of people, because of the socioeconomic dynamics of an outbreak, and people just want to go out there and work and be able to provide for their families, then it reaches a time when it goes down and people want to assume, they pray that now it's over and they can be able to continue as usual. And that is what has happened. I'm sure you have seen that Kenyans were actually not following any of the protocols, even in the matatus where they are complaining now that the government is discriminating. Most of them were carrying full capacity and even beyond capacity. You saw even our politicians and the top political leaders even holding meetings where people are not following these protocols, and they couldn't even castigate them. And that is one of the reasons as to why we are here. We opened schools.
Chairman, allow me to cut you short there. It is ironic that the third wave of the coronavirus disease is concurrent with the vaccination exercise, but even healthcare workers are not convinced the vaccine is a solution. With you yourself being on record last week saying that you're a bit skeptical of the vaccine. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, and I think this is a very good discussion point. And I think what I said is that I took a wait-and-see approach, and right now I'm actually convinced that the vaccine is safe, and next week I'm actually going to take the vaccine. The problem that was there before is, this is a vaccine that has been authorized for emergency use. What that means is that it has not gone through the full trial to be able to be authorized for use, and it has not been followed over time. So nobody in the world knows about the long-term effects of the vaccine. But in the short term, it has satisfied all the requirements for safety, and therefore it can be deployed because of its effectiveness and because the benefits it gives outweighs the risks that it may present. So for now, I actually think that it is safe. Why the health workers were a bit skeptical is, number one, because we have never actually been involved. All the information that we are getting by our own. We have not been sensitized, we were not trained, because the expectation was that before even the vaccine lands in Kenya, there should have been sensitization, there should have been stakeholder engagement with the leadership of the healthcare workers, leaders, so that we can be able to see the best approach to be able to do this, and even to be able to try and project the fears and the concerns that might be there with the health workers and even the Kenyans, and see on the ways that we can be able to set up structures to ensure that these fears and concerns are addressed very fast and in a clear way.
All right, Chairman, I think time is not on our side. I'll have to let you go there, but many thanks for making time for us here on TV47, just to give us a sneak peek of what is expected in the third wave of the coronavirus disease. That was the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairman Peterson Wachira, just giving us directions on what to expect in the third wave of the coronavirus pandemic. He says that he will take the vaccine next week. He's been a bit skeptical. just because some of the healthcare workers have not been involved in the whole process. Now, the Amani National Congress Party, ANC, is set to begin its countrywide recruitment of new members across the country beginning April this year, in a move aimed at strengthening the party nationwide ahead of a major transition that is expected to take place within the party in restructuring the party both at the grassroots and at the national level. Mike Agwongo now reports.
Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala has hinted at a major shake-up that is going to take place within the ANC party in a view of consolidating its base as it takes to command the support of all regions in the country, with an aim of propelling ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi to the top seat in the country. Malala, who was speaking when he attended a church service at the Church of God Kenya in Mariakani area of South B in Nairobi, says in order to gain the support of other communities apart from the Western Kenya bloc, much has to be done, and this is the solemn reason this recruitment drive is happening early enough as the ANC party continues to position itself as the party of choice come 2022.
At the end of this month, sisi kama chama cha ANC tunaanza countrywide recruitment drive. Tunaanza kufungua chama chetu kwamba kila Mkenya aingie katika chama cha ANC. Na mimi ninaenda kuongoza the nationwide recruitment drive ya chama cha ANC. Tunaenda kugonga milango ya kila jamii Kenya yetu. Mara kwa mara watu wamesema kwamba Musalia ama chama cha ANC ni chama cha Waluya peke yake. La, tunataka sasa tufungue milango, chama chetu kiwe chama cha kitaifa. Tunataka tutembee, tuende kwa Wakikuyu, tuende kwa Wamijikenda, tuende kwa Wamasai, tuende kwa Wakalenjin, tuende tuwaombe tu wasimame na kiongozi wetu Musalia Mudavadi.
Malala was quick to point out that after he reconciled with the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi after a difference on a few ideological stands, time has now come for the Amani party to also consider making key changes at its national secretariat and offices in order to accommodate as many like-minded leaders as possible, and also to give the leadership of the party the true face of Kenya.
We must change the structure ya national office ya ANC. Mimi nilikuwa mstari wa mbele kusema kwamba utapata chairman wa ANC ni kabila moja, utapata secretary general ni kabila moja, party leader kabila moja, treasurer kabila moja. We cannot propel Musalia to presidency kama hiyo ofisi ya ANC itabaki kuwa ofisi ya kabila moja.
The Kakamega senator, who was on the forefront during the Matungu mini polls where Musalia Mudavadi's ANC party clinched the seat, has recently been vocal on issues pertaining to the party and Mudavadi's presidential ambitions. The latest engagements by the Kakamega senator are said to be part of the major fixes that ANC party will be considering, even as it seeks to form new alliances or coalitions with like-minded political friends like KANU, for Kenya and Wiper.
Of course, we are alive of the fact that we are going to an electioneering period whereby in Kenya you either have coalitions or partners in any of your political journey. We are alive of that fact, and we are considering looking at alliances which are going to ensure that we fulfill the manifesto of ANC. We're not just going into any other alliance. You meet somebody on the road, you don't know his CV, he has a very bad history, maybe he was a thief, and since he has shown that he can mobilize some people, you take him into an alliance.
Already, a hint on a new emerging formation in the offing is on a high gear after the four principals Musalia Mudavadi of ANC, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper Party and Gideon Moira of KANU joined hands in efforts in the just concluded by-elections in Matungu, Kabuchai and Machakos, where ANC, Ford Kenya and Wiper won the seat respectively. Malala says working with ODM again may be impractical since they have already announced that they will be fielding a presidential candidate, and yet ANC has its party leader Musalia Mudavadi going for the top seat. For TV47, I'm Mike Kagwanga.
Now, as the race to State House gears on, communities around the country are regrouping to have a shot at the presidency. In January this year, the Kisii Council of Elders met to deliberate their plans for the community ahead of the general polls next year, picking Interior CS Fred Matiang'i as the official spokesman. The Super CS, who seems to be enjoying President Uhuru Kenyatta's support, is said to be giving possible presidential candidates from across the political divide jitters as he continues to hold his cards closer to his chest. But what would a Matiang'i presidency look like? Tonight on the 2022 game plan, we take a look at President Kenyatta's favorite CS in the race to succeed him. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i's political star has been shining since his appointment to President Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet. Kenyatta's executive order to make him the most powerful cabinet secretary in January 2019, making his Kisii political backyard brimming with pride.
Today, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, has turned and said that Matiang'i is equal to the task, is ready to go because he has justified, he has tested and proven.
Mambo ya security yako sawa, unajua ukisaidia watu wenu, ukiwapea kazi, wanajisaidia wenyewe, hiyo ndio tunaweza jifunia kwamba huyu hata tukimsupport akue rais anaweza kutusaidia.
In January this year, the Kisii Council of Elders met in a 4-hour closed-door meeting in the outskirts of Kisii town to crown Matiang'i as an elder and the official spokesman of the South Nyanza community.
I want to make him a Kisii elder and also subsequently, therefore, also urged us that he therefore must also become our spokesperson, and we all agreed.
Tumekubaliana nao kwa sababu kama Mkisii tumekuwa tunaongea sauti mingi. Sasa hata mtu ya nje hawezi jua nini msimamo wetu ni gani.
Naye pia kutoka nyumbani tumpatie nguvu ya kutosha ili atekeleze yale maneno ambao yatakuwa ni mazuri na makubwa katika jamhuri yetu ya Kenya.
Kwa hivyo sisi kama wabunge tunatarajia hiyo siku kwa hamu sana, ili sisi wa Kisii tuongee kwa jambo moja, because we know that united we stand and divided we fall.
But the Super CS, as he has come to be known, ditched the elders' choice to make him the region's kingpin, asking that plans to install him as a Kisii elder be postponed.
He has been very fortunate that President Uhuru likes him. He picked him, made him a minister, and he seemed to have done well. So he built up his credentials here and there. And that's why some people are saying that maybe he should be president.
Fred Matiang'i will definitely be a candidate to watch because, again, remember, there's a lot of Kenyans really loved Michuki, because of his really straight way of doing things.
I don't think that the current roles that the CS Matiang'i is handling is something that can be seen to clip the wings of the deputy president. Because you see, his roles comes from the definition of the word coordination. Coordination means that you become the focal point of various points. So basically, Matiang'i is just functioning as per his role of the CS for Interior and the coordination of national governments.
Although Matiang'i seems to be enjoying President Kenyatta's reach at the moment, and which has been loosely translated as grooming the CS for president next year, analysts warn that Kenyatta's endorsement would mean little in the 2022 succession politics.
A lot of people have been groomed and they went nowhere. It is how he projects himself nationally. And he may have he might have built some base among the Abagusi. And I think he has done a little bit there. And his connection with the Nyachai family is not bad. And they carry some weight. But the issue is beyond that.
And we should also remember that endorsement by a ruling president does not necessarily account to acceding into presidency.
You saw what happened to Uhuru Kenyatta when the former President Moi purported to have endorsed Uhuru Kenyatta as his apparent, successor. So those who are engaging in power play in terms of planning on how Kenyans will vote, they are committing criminal offenses. Those acts are unconstitutional, and those acts perpetuates impunity, and they are taking this country back to the days where we had Mlolongo systems of voting, where the chiefs and the DOs and the DCs were given instructions on who they should vote for. And it's those kind of things that breeds anarchy. It's those kind of things that results into assassination, something that we don't want to head there as a country.
But Matiang'i's fix-it attitude is said to be loved by many, giving him the upper hand in wooing Kenyans into voting for him next year. But with Deputy President William Ruto driving the hustler narrative on the other hand, the two are likely to go head-to-head in the race to succeed Kenyatta.
There are very many people who likes his no-nonsense attitude. There are very many people who believe that part of what the project that the Jubilee has done is because he has held the government together. So yes, he has a chance of being the president.
Deputy President William Ruto has had an advantage in the sense that he is the deputy president. And to get there was not easy. I mean, it was, and he has had his reach as a politician, as a political player. Fred has had his opportunity as a high-level bureaucrat. Officially, he is a bureaucrat, but in reality, he is beyond a bureaucrat. His rise is based on that close association with the president.
With President Kenyatta's support and his Kisii bedroom locked, Matiang'i's headache would be to match Deputy President William Ruto's national influence, analysts indicating that the no-nonsense CS could easily dethrone Ukambani's Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and ANC's Western Kenya heavyweight Musalia Mudavadi, both of whom have declared their interest in the top seat.
But if I would rate, for example, someone like Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi against Fred Matiang'i, I'll say Fred Matiang'i has